on, chill.
Welcome back to another episode of Nerds on Ice, where cool nerds get fired up on today's hot topics. As always, I'm your host, Chris Fury. Now let's meet our cool nerds for the evening. Tonight, we welcome the SHOWDOGS NYC to the show. First up, we have Sajda Waite, is a food porn fanatic and Doctor Who lover. Her phone's name is Bad Wolf. If she had a son and her husband would let her, she would name him Alonzo, so she could say Alonzi Alonzo. Hashtag 10th Doctor forever. Thanks for coming on, Sajda. I love that whole David Tennant thing. Gamal ElSawah is obsessed with Japanese manga, with the Japanese manga One Piece series One Piece. He considers himself an expert on it. He's also an avid fan of the Twilight Zone, both OG and 2019. And he once got suspended in high school for drawing giraffes on the chalkboard in science class. Giraffes are science.
That's what I said.
Right. Conrado Falco III hosts a podcast called The Criterion Project, where they talk about movies in the Criterion channel or collection. He knows an unhealthy amount about Oscar trivia, including all the Best Picture winners. Thanks for coming on.
True. Thank you for having me.
We all have a tweak or something in our life. So you guys are known as the SHOWDOGS NYC, and you have a YouTube show called Wormholes. Explain to the listeners and the viewers just who the SHOWDOGS NYC is and what it is that you do.
Ooh, yeah, so
take it away.
I'll explain. So SHOWDOGS NYC started as a theater collective, basically, but has now expanded into, I guess, a multimedia collective. And our mission is to make, cool stuff that is innovative and accessible to everyone and affordable for everyone to see.
Okay. Sajda?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So we all went to college together, and then as you do post-college, you're like, I love making stuff, but like, what do I do? No one wants to just hire me. Cool. So we made SHOWDOGS, and then when quarantine happened, and we also just so happened to live with one another, and actually a show that we were going to put up that was Gamal's play. It sadly called Sad Clowns got shut down because la covida, and so then Wormholes became our project and our way of kind of working through that. So yeah.
Okay, Gamal.
And yeah, I'm just going to add on to that. Yeah, we made Wormholes, which is a sci-fi comedy web series about a starving poet that I play named Salman, who lives in a New York City apartment with a social media influencer, Bailey, played by Sajda. They live in an apartment that just so happens to have an active interdimensional wormhole in their closet, which causes wacky, wild phenomena to happen every episode that they have to deal with. With their telepathic dog and their bumbling superintendent, played by Conrado. Yeah, it's 10 episodes long, and it's all out now.
Okay, so speaking of wormholes, you have situations where one is bathing with mayonnaise, waking up with red hair, or waking up with a tentacle for an arm. Who comes up with these crazy concepts for the show?
All of us.
I think we all do. Yeah, I guess that's just our sensibility.
Look, a lot of crazy shit has happened this year, and the sky's the limit. So why couldn't you bathe with mayonnaise?
Exactly. Okay.
What we actually learned from bathing with mayonnaise is it's actually delightful on the skin, and it made me look smooth like butter. So just try something new, y'all.
We do all our own stunts.
We don't hire anyone out. Yeah.
Including a telepathic dog. I get it. So whose idea was it to come up with this show? Like, was it a collective thought process, or where did it come from?
I'm glad you asked. Well, after we did the whole quarantine thing for a little bit, a pandemic chic, sitting at home, being depressed, we were all sad that we couldn't do our play. And at about a month or two into quarantine, on exactly April the 27th, 2020, I texted our group chat at 2 in the afternoon, and I said, what if we made a Quibi. Like a really easy to shoot on an iPhone, scripted mini-series of sorts with episodes that are only 10 minutes or so, give or take. And Conrado responded, gotta write it first, but I'm down. And from there, we started having conversations. And by the end of that day, we had the basic concept. Now, my original pitch was a show about quarantine. That was swiftly turned down for the better.
No.
It would have been too normal, personally. I actually see that. I see clearly now. The rain is gone. But what was that experience like? What did you guys think?
I mean, that sounds accurate, what you said. I don't know how exactly we came up with the wormhole idea.
I don't know.
I personally wanted to make a very silly show because I just wanted to do something really funny. And I think eventually we kind of arrived at something that is very creative and very science fiction, very comedic, but also has, like, I would say, real heart to it. And as the series progresses, there's like more and more character stuff that is more grounded, I feel. And I think that's a nice balance that we wanted to strike, and hopefully we did.
Okay. Sajda?
Yeah, I think we just funny enough, not to call anyone out, but we did have another roommate at the time who actually at the beginning of quarantine was really like, let's do stuff, and then we were like, we're sad, we're depressed, we can't do anything, like there's no way. And then like 2 months in, we were like, actually I'm really, really bored. We probably all won't have jobs for very long. What are we doing? We might as well just do something, the thing that we love to do, which is to perform and to write stories. And so yeah.
So that was going to
sadly, he was like about a month ahead of us, and we weren't good, so a missed opportunity there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're saying he was the weak link? Okay, so that's what you're.
Or one might say he was stronger than us.
Yeah,
he was able to pick himself up sooner.
We couldn't see the light yet, but once we saw it, wormholes came about.
Yeah.
So I've seen a few of the episodes so far, and it has a very Doctor Who, like a very sci-fi Doctor Who type of feel to it, with a huge comedy element put into it. I think it was the dog's idea.
100%.
It's 100% the dog's idea. Which do you find better? Doing it this way, doing your routines this way, your comedy routine and everything. Do you find it easier doing it this way opposed to doing it on stage? Do you miss the stage, obviously? Which is better?
Interesting.
You just said something about theater before when we were watching The Prom. Do you have something? We were just watching The Prom on Netflix.
Well, I don't know. I think that it is definitely missing the theater, but I think what's really cool about being able to do Wormholes was like having all of the creative control, like, you know what I mean? Everything came down to us, and I think we proved to ourselves that like we do have the ability and the capacity to like make art, even if it isn't in the way that we thought that we were going to be making it. And so I think that was like that's kind of the joy of being able to do it. You know what I mean? We were just like, we could do whatever we want, and if we put it on YouTube, and like at the end of the day, if we love it, like that's awesome. And if other people see it and love it, then like even better, but we get to do what we want to do, which is, when you're doing theater, not always the case. You a lot of the times have a lot of other opinions, and people have thoughts, and so you don't always get to do what you want to do, but we did this time.
The great thing about this for me as well is that we can put it on YouTube, and then anyone around the world can watch it, which is not the case with theater a lot of the time. If you're not in the same city that we are, you could have never seen the show, Chris, if it was a theater show, so we're glad that it's been on YouTube, and a lot of people who usually wouldn't have seen our shows have been able to see it.
Yeah, 100%. And that goes back to what we were talking about with like SHOWDOGS as a whole. Like, one of the things we strive for is definitely accessibility, because a lot of theater, even here in New York, sometimes theater is just flat out inaccessible because it's so expensive to get a ticket to like a Broadway or even an off-Broadway show. But our show is out there for free on YouTube and on Instagram for anyone to see, which is great. I think that's, obviously in a perfect world, artists would be paid for their work, but I think there's like a way to
Just give
balance
or take.
that. They don't gotta be too expensive or something,
Right.
you know.
So we've talked a little bit about wormholes. Let's talk about each individual themselves. We'll start with Conrado. What got you into theater? What pushed you into wormholes? How did you become the crazy superintendent? All that type of stuff.
Yeah, well, clearly from the story that he just told, the thing that pushed me into wormholes was Gamal and his idea to make a Quibi. But I'm happy that he did. And I loved the show,
Rest
and I
in
had
peace,
a great
Quibi.
time. Well, yeah. Listen, wormholes outlived Quibi, so who's laughing now?
All those millions of dollars wasted.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? I mean, I've always loved like TV shows and movies since I was a kid. I used to watch a show that was, I don't know what it was called. It was something like Movie Magic that was about special effects and how they do all that like visual effects stuff. And that was really the first time that I understood that like there were people who made movies that were not actors, you know? Like, you know, when you're a kid, I feel like you see the actors, but like who's behind the camera? And that got me really excited about like not just being in front of the camera, but also behind and writing shows and directing shows. And yeah, and I've been like a movie person ever since.
Okay. Sajda?
Well, so yeah, creatively, I think I've just always been I'm an only child, so getting the spotlight is something that I really, really enjoy. So like, just being a little kid, I thought that like being TV, music, musicals. Growing up in New York, thankfully, I was fortunate enough that I was in this city, and also like that I had a mom who was able to like take me out and see musicals. And like, so the first thing I saw, like, well, not the first thing, but like I was really young when I saw Aida, and I was like, oh my God, Black people on stage, and they sing and they dance and they like do crazy shit. Like, wow, you know what I mean? And so like that, I think, coupled with, yeah, just like watching movies as a kid, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And like that person gets seen, and like people can like express themselves to other people, and that's like soup's cool. And I think well, I guess that kind of like blends into, I think, who I play on the show Bayleaf, right? She's also someone who is kind of obsessed with the spotlight a little bit, you know what I mean? And like feels the need to have like this camera, this thing, be a reflection of how she expresses herself, is like through being watched all the time. So I think it all kind of like cerebrally makes sense.
Gamal?
Sorry, what was the question again? My ADD is acting up.
What was it? What was your influence? What drew you into wormholes and theater and
Oh,
acting?
definitely. Yeah. Well, I when I was a kid in the second grade, I auditioned for the school play, and I didn't. It was nice, and then I never acted again until college. But something happened around college. I wanted to be a cartoonist because I really liked comic books. I wanted to write comic books for a while. When I was like in high school, that didn't work out because art school was too expensive. So I went to a city school and started studying theater because I was like, I could do theater. I used to do it when I was a kid. And then I just fell in love with it. I was like, theater's so easy. Just stand on stage and like say a couple lines. It'll be an easy degree. But I completely fell in love with it again, and I became like a fiend. I was like, I need to be on stage and I need to get all the parts, and I'm an actor now or whatever. And then I started writing. I started doing a lot of comedy. That's kind of like my thing. Is I'm very much a comedian these days. So a lot of sketch comedy. SNL is a dream of mine. Lorne Michaels, if you're watching, hire me. I know you're a big fan. But I started doing that, and theater was just feasible for me. I don't know why I chose theater over film or TV, but I feel like theater felt more attainable to some degree because it was like local, and you could like touch it, and you could be there, and like people who do theater aren't like the most famous people, so like it seemed like less of a stretch to do theater. Although I love movies and TV, And yeah, and then Wormholes. When I met these guys in college doing theater, and then we did the whole Wormholes thing. But I'm used to playing a lot of like wild character type roles, like loud and wacky things, which is kind of different from my character in this show. It's a lot more subdued than I'm used to. But he's a writer, I'm a writer, so that definitely like snuck its way in.
Right. So now, speaking of your characters that you play on the show, Bailey, where did these names come from? Like, because, Gamal, you mentioned that, you'd love to be on SNL, and it's funny because as I was watching it, I got an SNL skit feel from the show. So congratulations on that part. So
you heard that, Lord?
So tell the listeners, like, what is it where did you get these concepts and these ideas for these names? Because I'm like, did she just call herself Bailey?
Okay. Whose idea was the names with the food? I
don't know how it started. They're all food names. That's the joke.
I think famously, Bayleaf was not Bayleaf at first. She had a different name. I think she was like also something food, but not like, I think it was like Ginger, which was like food but not food. And then I think we like were riffing off of different things, and then Salmen came because we wanted it to also like be a little bit of a reflection of our backgrounds. So Salmen is also, is also like an Arabic name, and so we had that. And then gazpacho was also not gazpacho at first. Like it all kind of, I think as we were like just throwing spaghetti at the wall, like, just names started popping up. And then as we started writing, they just started, the characters spoke to us, and then we got their name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was important that it was
very
food
natural.
for some reason.
I think that's just a reflection of what is, in my opinion, good about the way we work together, is that one of us, I don't know who, just came up with this idea of, let's do food names, and everyone else just said, yes, let's do it, instead of, shutting that person down. And that's kind of how we come up with all these crazy things in the show, is that usually whatever a person suggests, everyone else is like, sure, let's do that. Let's telepathic dog, sure, why not? And the dog's gonna be around because he lives with us, so might as well.
Very yes and. Yeah, the idea of the dog, we said, well, I don't know why. We were like, well, the dog, we're filming the show, but the dog's gonna be in the background of all the shots. So we have to explain the dog being there. And the answer wasn't just that they had a dog. It was, he's gonna be a telepathic dog, and we'll give him a couple of lines here and there, and it'll be funny. Cut to like 2 episodes later, he has monologues.
Right. He's a full-on supporting character. This is not.
I don't know how it happened.
Like the gambling, and he's just like,
yeah.
If you help me, I'll help you. So, and like I was saying, like with the names, I'm like, it was very, Gamal, you could appreciate this because it was reminding me of characters from Dragon Ball Z. They were like these different weird names, like Frieza is a riff on Freezer and that type of stuff. So, what is next for Wormholes? Are we seeing a season 2, or what happens?
Wow, that's a great question.
You're gonna get some scoops here, maybe. We are thinking about a season 2, but nothing is set in stone yet. But definitely, we're interested. We want to see what the response is. So far, we've had great response. Everyone who has reached out about the show to us says that they love it. They're having a great time. We have a great response. We want to see if that continues now that the show is all available at once and people can binge it and can watch it as many times as they want, but yeah, there'll be more SHOWDOGS stuff coming soon. A Wormhole season 2 is definitely something that we're interested in, but we just finished the first season, so we're not rushing to
Quit pulling our leg, Chris. Quit pulling our leg. All right, maybe we'll do it.
Just for you, Chris. Just for you.
Well, I'll make a suggestion. If you have a telepathic dog, why not have a psychokinetic cat? Let's add that to the mix there.
Hey.
Let
me go to the pet store right now.
I'm sure there's a few strays in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Let's call it
Next we'll have a. Yeah.
So it's an amazing show. What do you see happening? Let's just say the world opens up. Somehow the skies open up and this thing called COVID finally dissipates. What do you see yourselves doing more with the show?
Oh.
That's an interesting.
I mean, yeah, it'd be great to have like some more characters to interact with in person. You probably noticed this, Chris, but a lot of the supporting characters that we interact with are all on Zoom or via
Right.
phone and things like that because of the quarantine. So that'd be great. We have a great supporting cast, a bunch of our friends who just were so supportive and down to just come on for a little bit on Zoom and be in our show and talk about crazy wormhole stuff. And we would love to have them be a bigger part of the show next time, I would say.
Yeah, definitely this show, a version of the show that is filmed post-pandemic would be like so different, I think, in the best of ways. I think that just like the possibilities are endless in that way. So I'd be really looking forward to that. But I still think like at its core, it will still be wormholes. That sensibility will still be there. But
You
just
don't
we can
wanna-
go across
you
the
don't-
street for once.
Right.
No.
What do you say, Sajda?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with my fellow wormies or wormholes, as we would like to say, our fan base. That yeah, I mean, definitely expanding to seeing new characters, seeing it's not out of it's not a big stretch to say that hopefully we could see more of their world in general. You know what I mean? Obviously, like you're getting their apartment for
Yeah.
the first season, so the idea of like expanding what is the Wormholes universe like sounds really cool. Yeah.
And I'm not saying we're in talks with Hulu, but I am manifesting it. So
Yeah.
why don't you ask one of your next guests about that? slip them the screeners.
It's like, there's a show I want you to check out. Go ahead, slide that on the.
Run it upstairs.
Yeah, check that out on Hulu. This is gonna be nice. Disney just had their investors meeting. I'm sure they'll love this.
Oh, yeah. Family friendly, this show.
Yeah, friendly family, exactly.
Mhm.
So before we leave, each one of you, tell us what you have next. What do you have planned next? Post-COVID, pre-COVID, whatever COVID. We'll start with Sajda.
Cool. So on top of everything that we're doing with Wormholes as far as SHOWDOGS, SHOWDOGS also has like a podcast called Pod Queens. So there'll be episodes of that'll be going on, and Pod Queens is PODKWEENS. So we're cute, you know what I'm saying? Like wordplay, we get it. And like you were saying before, I'm also like a big foodie, so I'm hoping to like in the new year, new me is embracing more of her food side. So definitely checking out my my Food Porn Friday will be up and poppin' come 2021. Okay, COVID or no COVID, watch out.
There you go. Conrado.
Yeah, so I have, like you said, I host a podcast as well called The Criterion Project, where we talk about movies in the Criterion channel and collection. So that will still be going on. We just did an episode about the movie Boyhood, Richard Linklater, the kid who took 12 years to make the movie and whatnot. That was a fun discussion, and we're going to talk about Citizen Kane next and God knows what after that. So that's kind of I'm a movie guy, so that's kind of my vibe. And other than that, we have more SHOWDOGS projects coming in the next year. I don't know if we can talk too much about them yet because they're all at the very early stages, but definitely keep an eye on the SHOWDOGS YouTube page because even though the first season of Wormholes is over, there will be more stuff there the next year to check out.
All right, Gamal.
Yes, I second that. I am. You can check out my sketch comedy team that I'm a part of. They're called Only Sketches About. Go to onlysketchesabout.com. We're releasing a season of audio sketch shows this February or March. And each episode is only sketches about a different topic. And the first one is going to be only sketches about camp. I hope I'm allowed to say that. Oops, sorry guys if I'm not. But if you're interested in trying them out, there's 2 pilot episodes kind of out now on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Only sketches about Americana and only sketches about clams. Check it out. And of course, the fanciful, magical SHOWDOGS projects that we're planning that would come out in between Wormhole Season 1 and maybe Wormhole Season 2. So keep an eye out on us.
Well, thank you. The show is amazing. Like I said earlier, it's amazing. It's hilarious. I love to see the rest. I'm getting ready to watch the rest over the weekend since I'm halfway through, and ecstatic for the whole thing. So I'm going to call it, guys. Unfortunately, it's the end of our show. I want to thank our guest, and we'll do a quick rundown. And we've already found out where everyone's at. So check them out on YouTube, the SHOWDOGS NYC, and there are various podcasts that can be found anywhere on Spotify and everywhere else. And until next time for the next show, I am your unforgettable protector and host, Chris Fury. And until next time, remember to educate yourself and others, entertain yourself and others, and empower yourself and others. And until next time, Chris Fury, out.
All right, everyone, chill.
To hear all of our podcasts, look for Circle of Nerds on iTunes, iHeart, Pandora, Spotify, or wherever you get podcasts. And if you want to see these weirdos in their natural habitat, just look for Circle of Nerds on YouTube and Patreon. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.